Hey everyone, my name is John Vine, and today we're going to be talking about how to stand out as a software engineer. This is made for, those of you that are right now working as full-time developers or, maybe as interns. So you don't have to follow these tips. It doesn't really matter. And these tips are relatively simple. This isn't like groundbreaking stuff. This is just some things that you can implement into your day. And, hopefully you can try to add all of these tips into your day, but, you don't have to. Obviously, I can't force you to do anything. And, these are just some ideas on ways that you can, stand out in the workforce. If you're working as part of a team, if you're working, at a company and you're constantly communicating with other people, these are just some ways that you can stand out. So if you're new to the channel, what we do here is we talk about software engineering. I try to help you guys out to reach your goals of becoming a full-time software developer. So if you like the content, feel free to like and subscribe. I think right now around 90% of you guys are not subscribed that watch this channel, so subscribe definitely helps. And let's get right back to the video. So, the first tip I have for you guys is just, to start taking initiative more often. So when you're working and it's very easy to just get your job done, right? So just, for us, it would just be like coding and then that's it, right? All you do is code, and at the end of the day, you don't really step out of your comfort zone. You don't really step out of your job responsibilities, let's call them. And so one of the things you can do is kind of, take initiative and kind of, work on some things that have been kind of put aside, or work on some things that people don't want to work on. For example, if there's tech debt, if there's been, a certain thing that isn't really high priority, and on your team that you guys have to do this, but no one's kind of doing it. It's kind of just laying there waiting. You can kind of just get that out of the way. You can also like lead a new project, or use a new technology, or teach. If you guys have a new hire, you can like take the initiative on onboarding them and teaching them, or writing some documentation on something that you guys have built. It can really come in many shapes and forms. And if you can take initiative and show people that you're willing to do the work, to do some extra work, then that really makes you a valuable team member. It also makes people rely on you. It makes people trust you. It lets people know that you get work done, and it gives you a lot of new opportunities. For example, if there's one thing that there's some kind of technical debt that no one wants to do, and you get it done. You might gain a new skill, you might learn something. It's probably, if no one wants to do it, that means not a lot of people do that thing. And then basically it could be like a niche kind of thing you gain interest in, or something that you get better at that you can teach other people. And so there are many things to be gained from taking initiative, and it could only better your career. And I guarantee you guys, there's something at your job, it might not be anything that I've listed, but there's probably going to be something at your workplace. Just think about your team, what you guys do on a day-to-day, some pain points you have, and areas that can be improved, or things that no one wants to do. And just think of some things that you can do and take initiative on at your own workplace, and I guarantee you'll stand out more, and it'll make you more trustworthy. Another thing that's really good that not a lot of people focus on, and I've talked about this a couple of times on this channel, is to really get better at communicating. And if you want to be really specific in terms of software engineering, something that's pretty interesting that I think I talked about this before is that at my university they realized that a lot of the people that were learning computer science and software engineering were really bad at communicating, and so they made taking a communications course mandatory, where you learn to communicate. There's like public speaking and a couple of others ones. I think there were some written ones too, but basically the point I'm making is that a lot of there's like a trend of a lot of software engineers being bad at communication, and if you can be one of those that can communicate very well, and to kind of be more specific, a really good thing that a software developer can do is communicate technical things to people that don't have a technical background, and kind of take a complex idea and make it simpler for someone to understand, specifically someone with a non-engineering background. And if you can kind of like be that translator, between the engineering team and the team that doesn't do any of that kind of stuff, and kind of facilitate communication between different teams, what else is going to make you stand out more than that, right? Like, I mean, that's such a valuable thing to have. That's something that is extremely overlooked in my opinion, and is a very valuable skill. And it can only lead to good things, if you start doing this, and if you can get better at communicating, right? And how do you do that? How do you get better at communicating, John? You're telling me I have to get good at communicating, and the only thing you can do really is practice. Try to talk to people, try to communicate with your team as much as you can, try to ask more questions, reach out to people and kind of ask them if they need any help. If you want to practice, explaining technical things, you can try to just look at a mirror and explain like the last thing you worked on. If it was complex, try to explain it. Imagine that you're someone that has no idea what coding is. or like literally anything about coding, and try to explain it to them how you made it work, or like explain it to a friend or explain it to a coworker. And I think it's a pretty good habit, or a pretty good what's it called, like exercise to do that. I think that'll be very beneficial. And yeah, it's really a good skill to have, not only in software engineering, but in life too, obviously, right? Like being a good communicator is great. And you know, it's also, I didn't mention it, but like there's also like written communication can be, is pretty important too. Not nearly as important as what we just talked about, but just saying that communication isn't just verbal. Now, the last tip I have for you guys is to get really good and kind of become an expert in a certain niche area of software development, and kind of, you know, be that one guy that everyone relies on and kind of leans on for help in one certain area of development, so that like everyone knows, you know, okay, that's the CSS guy that's amazing at CSS. So if you have any issues or having any trouble, you know, reach out to that guy. I mean, that'll definitely make you stand out. And the fact that, you know, you're good at something that's really niche probably means that, you know, not a lot of other people at your company or on your team are good at that skill. So that kind of, you know, adds to that standing out factor, where you'll be one of the only ones, if not the only one, that will be able to work with this kind of technology or whatever it is. And you know, this kind of stuff happens pretty often at you know, bigger companies. There's always going to be people that are very, very experienced in certain niche areas, and that a lot of different people kind of will come to them for help, or just, you know, when anytime there's some sort of issue with whatever they're an expert in. And so it can be something that either, you know, really interests you, or if you realize that something is, you know, a constant problem, you can kind of take some more interest into that and kind of see how you can help solve this problem on a bigger scale for other people. And so I think that if you get really good, you guys know this, like people say that sometimes you get so good at something that, you know, people are dependent on you, right? Like a company becomes dependent on you, and if you're like the only one that knows how something works, that you know, you're in a really good spot. Now that's kind of going to an extreme, but you know, to a certain extent, that kind of idea is true. If you're really good at something and you own a certain project or a certain technology, and a lot of people come to you for help, and you're like a very valuable resource, then you know, that's a really good thing, and it's a really good way to stand out. So guys, you know, take these tips and do with them what you will. I think if you kind of implement them and try to get better, you know, at communicating, try to take initiative more in the workplace, try to think about some things that, you know, in your job, in the way that you work with your teammates, some things that can be improved and that you can take initiative on and fix, and like becoming an expert in like a certain niche area of development. If you guys can do either, you know, all three, one of those, whatever it is, or maybe none, I think these will help you out. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if there's anything you think I missed. If you guys have any other ideas on, you know, ways to stand out as a software engineer, feel free to comment down below. If you like the content, feel free to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'd greatly appreciate it. Yeah, and as always, guys, take it easy and have a good day.